Alright, so this is going to be a full playthrough of Maniac Mansion. This was originally developed on the Commodore 64 and eventually went to the Amiga and Apple II and some of the others, but the version we're playing today is the NES version that came out in 1990, with the original versions coming out around 1987 and a little after that. There's not that much different from the Amiga versions and the Commodore version. It's all basically the same. It's a little more censored than on the, I guess, Amiga ones and Commodore versions, where this one is not as graphic. But with that being said, you're going to discover it's still pretty graphic for an NES game of the time. The fact that this thing even got through the censors was pretty remarkable, because I'm not going to give away any big surprises, but I'm kind of amazed that a couple of things got in there. But anyway, to start out, you've got these characters. You've got kind of a total of, I guess, 6 people you can pick from. Dave, you have to pick Dave, but you have to pick 2 others. And depending on who you pick, will determine how the game ends. And every character has their own strength. And that sort of, it gives it a very unique feel to it, because the game can end in there's like 3 different endings at least of how it ends completely. So we're just going to do one. But anyway, the plot line is you got Dave, his girlfriend's been kidnapped by Dr. Ed, and he recruits 2 friends to come rescue her. And as you can see, Bernard's pretty much scared, and he's telling him to don't be a tuna head, which was originally censored from don't be a head. And the house that you saw in the beginning credits and that you'll see throughout the whole game is actually based on the main house at Skywalker Ranch, is what I read. So this was actually Lucasfilm's games. So the creators were very familiar with Skywalker Ranch, and that's kind of what inspired them to do this, as far as the style that they do. So, but the idea of this whole game is a point-and-click game. You can change from one kid to another one, and really Dave is the, I guess, least useful one. Alright, so like I said, we're going to read the sign. It says, "Trespassers will be horribly mutilated." It's a great sign. But Dave is probably the most useless character until the very end. As far as, I guess, with the characters I have here, because Bernard isn't very good at facing the tentacles, which you will soon see what I'm talking about. Now, the address you'll need if you're going to do one of the other endings, which is sending off a record to the record company, which I know it sounds weird. That's what you gotta do. Sometimes it's been a while since I've played this, but sometimes it's hard to point at exactly what I want to do. So and sometimes I don't even get the right command. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to give the key to one of the other characters, just because Dave is that useless until the end, and I'm going to need the key because we're going to get locked out at some point, I imagine. And you can do that. You can actually give other items to the players, which is pretty cool. This is probably the closest thing to an open world game as they had at the time. I mean, it's not open world like Grand Theft Auto, but it is pretty open world. I mean, you can pick your different characters, you can have different endings, you can move about the house fairly freely, relatively freely. You can do all kinds of things, like let's just turn on the sink, and yeah, the sink's on. I believe there's an ending that, oh yeah, we got caught. There's Edna, who looks like one of those blue people from Kentucky that had that weird genetic disease. But Edna has now locked us in the dungeon, which is why Dave's so useless. because he's going to get locked in the dungeon. Any of them can get locked in the dungeon, but and there is a way to get out. If you have two people in the dungeon, there's a loose brick on the far left side of the screen that you can push, but only one kid can push it, and that's how you would get out. Same thing with that little gargoyle. You can have one kid push it, and that'll open that little door right there in the middle, the one I did not go through. Now, for this ending that I'm doing, Bernard is going to actually radio the meteor police, I believe, and I need this radio tube to do that. And I know these endings sound crazy, as far as sending off a record to the record company to help the Tentacle get a record contract, phoning the meteor police to come arrest the meteor. It's all very zany. It's all very kind of crazy, and that's what I kind of liked about it growing up. Oh, and I remember this little sign here. It's, I think the stairs are out of order. That's kind of amusing. I got this horrible joke that I stole from a horrible comedian about, if the escalator is out of order, aren't they just stairs? Now, Razor I kind of like, or at least I need one of the rockers. There's several, I guess, musicians that you can pick from, and there's one nefarious thing I want to do, and you can only do it with musicians. I'm not going to tell you what that is right now, because you'll probably just turn the video off if I did. And it's one of the amazing things that I can't believe actually got put into the game, and it's slightly amusing as a kid, and as an adult it's kind of disturbing, but I'm going to do it anyway so you can kind of see what it is and just be equally amazed. But that's a big surprise for the end of the video. Right now we're going to have Razor and Bernard kind of acquire all the objects that we need. So for this first one, I'm going to have her push on the gargoyle and then switch over to Bernard. He's going to get a key I need. And then they're going to acquire other items. A cassette. Well, he has the cassette tape. He's going to go get a record. He's going to make a tape that's going to allow us to get another key that's on a chandelier. Yeah, nuclear reactor. That's I wonder if the Department of Energy knows about this. And it's leaking, of course. One of the things I'm gonna, I think I'll show you guys at the very end. I'll do probably, I guess, some B-roll at the end after I've beaten the game. I'll show you guys how you can blow up the house, and it's quite easy indeed. Oh, look, he's hungry, so now you have to kind of run and hide. Otherwise, because if he catches you, he'll throw you in the dungeon too, which it isn't the end because you can still get out, but it's sort of an inconvenience. Well, you can get out if you have two people in there. Like Dave's already in there, so if Razor or Bernard were to get thrown in the dungeon, I can get them out. But it's just an inconvenience. And one of the keys I'm trying to acquire is a key to the dungeon so you can go in and out. Because you actually can't go in the dungeon without getting caught without the key. And actually, if you take the cheese from the fridge, he kind of, I probably should have done that. I didn't think about that a minute ago, but I probably should have gotten the cheese just so you can see him freak out and go, "Where's the cheese?" It's very cheesy like that. Haha, did you like that joke? Cheesy. All right, let's get back to work. Now, the reason I'm actually going to use Razor for this particular little task of getting the bowl of wax fruit and the can of Pepsi, which you get from the fridge, is because the tentacle, I can't remember the color, I think it's green tentacle, green or purple, I can't remember exactly which one this one is, but the tentacle up here needs the bowl of wax fruit and the Pepsi. So you can give it the bowl of wax fruit and the Pepsi. The order you give it does not matter, but you cannot pass without it. And Bernard can't do it because he is afraid of the tentacle, and so that's one of his weaknesses. I think he's the only one I recall that cannot get past the tentacle. Now up here in the hallway, be careful which door you go into. The middle two will take you into the bedrooms with, I guess, Ed Jr. and Edna. I think they're all called Ed. But this one on the far right, you'll want to use the Hunkomatic, because you actually need to use it, because without it, the character is too weak to open up a grate and a garage door. And the garage door is only necessary on one of the endings, which is not going to be this one. And that is another thing you can see, a mummified person in the bathtub that says "Call Edna." For one of the other endings, you need to find out what the phone number is. And, oh yeah, you can also use the toilet. But for that ending with the mummy in the bathtub, there's I guess a faucet you have to go find. And when you attach the faucet, it turns the water on, the mummy moves, and you can see the phone number you need to use to call. Now you can also do a cheat mode these days where you already know the phone number in advance, and that's perfectly fine. And the numbers and combinations that you need to know are easy to remember. For example, the phone number that you call the Meteor Police at is just 9111. Easy to remember if you're in America. If you're outside the United States, 911 is just our emergency call. It's kind of like I think 999 in Britain, and I don't know what the Australian emergency number is, but it's basically how you call the cops. Easy to remember here. And the combination to get into the dungeon where they're actually holding the girl, Sandy, I think is her name, that combination is just 0000. Yeah, there's the radio you need to call the Meteor Police, but you got to have that radio tube to use it. And if you wanted to know where you'd find the phone number for the Meteor Police, it's there on the wanted poster. Now here's another little green tentacle. He seems very sad and depressed. One of the objectives you can do is to help him get a record contract, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to give him a can of Pepsi though, just, because he's a sad, depressed tentacle. Why would you not give a sad, depressed tentacle a can of Pepsi? And that room right there, I don't need that for this mission. I guess for this objective, the way I'm going to win it. But this is a dark room. In one of the missions, you need to develop film, and this is the room you need to do it in, but you need to have the right character to do that. And I can't remember exactly. I'm trying to find a lamp to turn a light on, and I cannot seem to find a lamp. Where's the lamp? There's a lamp somewhere. There it is, red light. I think that's it. Yeah, that's what the room looks like. That's what you would need to do to develop film for one of the other endings. Alright, now these rooms I don't need to go into, but I just wanted to show you real quick. There is a way that you can play one of the arcades and actually play a game on it, like Asteroids or something. This is a room that you have once you turn the light on, you'd be able to see a table that you need to grab a manuscript for. And to do that, that has to do with another ending having to do with getting a book deal. It's all really weird, but I do actually appreciate the fact that you can have all these different endings and that you got all these different characters to do them with. So there's a lot of variety of how to end the game. And of course, you'd open up the desk and there it is, manuscript. But I don't need that for this. Alright, I gotta go find Bernard. Give him all these items so that he can do his thing. Come on, Bernie, let's go. Alright, I'm going to give him the record because he needs that. And anyone can do the thing with the record. However, I need Razor for a much more nefarious plot line. She's going to drain the pool, which will expose the nuclear reactor. Or at least the rods, I believe. I'm not a physicist, so I don't know all the terms of how a nuclear reactor works. I know you get the rods, and the rods of the reactor are actually in the swimming pool of this house. And what you have to do is you have to drain the pool so you can go get a radioactive glowing key down there, because you need that key as well. You need all these different keys. Now you can grab the chainsaw, but you don't really need it. Same thing with the flashlight. You can grab it and use the batteries that are in the refrigerator if you need a flashlight in a dark room. It's not really something I particularly need, I guess because I know where I'm going, but you can do that. Now, ringing the doorbell is how you can get Ed Jr. out of his room, because you need to go get the hamster and the key card, which the key card's right underneath the hamster, so you can't get one without the other. But the key card you need at the very end of the game. And you can actually ring the doorbell at any time, I think, and he will come and answer the door at least. Now here he answered it because his package arrived, but if you go and ring it any other time, then he'll just come down. And you saw how he shut the door. Now it's locked, which is why I needed Bernie or Razor to have the key so that they can get back in. Now you can also let him back in from the inside. Forgot I gotta use one of the keys here. I think it's the silver key. Alright, there's the pool. And actually, while I'm here, I'll show you guys the garage, which for my mission I don't need. Now there's the garage. Inside's a car. I don't think I can open it with him yet, because he hasn't done the Hunk-O-Matic. You gotta kind of do the Hunk-O-Matic in order to open up a garage. So now Razor's going to drain the pool. Now if you leave it drained for too long, then it's one of the two ways that you can cause the house to explode. And you can also drown any of the characters as well. So if they go down in the pool while it's empty and then you fill it back up, then they drown. And you get a little tombstone. You're not going to see that in this one because I'm going to find a more nefarious way to kill my characters. That's even better than drowning. And of course he's complaining about all the cheap equipment. And there's the purple tentacle. That's why I couldn't remember if the tentacle upstairs was green or purple. I know that they had the two different colored ones, and I forget over the years. Again, those people look like they're the little blue people from Kentucky that have that genetic disorder. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it. Google blue people in Kentucky. That's what they look like and remind me of. Alright, the key is just right down there. And you can actually see a little red button right there with the green arrow. If you push that button, that will also cause the house to explode. So I guess there's 3 ways to cause the house to explode, but 2 of them involve the pool.
The other one is turning off the power right there in the circuit breakers, which is what I think I'll do when I win the game. I'll go back and shoot some more footage, and I'll show you how that works. You turn it off, and usually within 5 minutes, everything just blows up. It's a great scene. All right, now I got to have Razor turn the water back on, fill it back up. Otherwise, we will all explode. All right, Razor, you're going to stay there because I need you to ring the doorbell in a bit. Bernard, we're going to get the final key, and then we're going to go get the key card, and we'll try to beat this thing. I find it kind of odd that Bernie over here, the nerd, is the most useful character almost. Or at least the most useful of the three I have. And actually I'm going to go ahead and give her the key just in case she gets locked out again. Now the room to the right here has the cassette recorder and a piano, and any of the musicians in the game can play the piano, I think, and any of the ones that can, you can actually use the same cassette recorder to record that to help the Green Tentacle get a record contract, which sounds really weird when I say that out loud, which is why I kind of slowed down. To say that you have to play the piano to help a Green Tentacle get a record contract. That's just a bizarre statement. Now you saw what happened to the little vase on the piano. It kind of shattered. That's sort of the concept here in this little room. We're going to play that same tape, that same sound, and you'll see the window shatter, I believe, and then the chandelier will shatter because we need that key that's on top. If you couldn't see it very clear, it was there. Which is kind of hard to see because it's kind of blending in. Boy, those pictures of those people is kind of freaky. Like a Charles Manson freaky. Wonder if they sell those. Yes, that room on the far end I did not go into yet. I don't need to go into it for this one, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys what's in it. One of the missions you can do is you can feed that plant some tentacle chow, I believe, and then it will grow, and you can use it to climb up. And that painted wall right there, you can use some paint remover, and you'll find a door there. And of course, those are for other missions. And while you're here, Bernie, go ahead and lift some weights. I don't think you're going to need it, but why not? And while you're at it, let's just open that sarcophagus. There's a TV in there, I believe. I can't remember if we can use it or not. I guess not. The TV in the room with the piano you can view, and that gives you that commercial that tells you how to send in the, I guess, the record thing and the manuscript. Ah, yes, push the doorbell, Razor. Push the doorbell. Come on, Ed. Come on, JR. Ed Jr. Go downstairs. Let's try that again. Try it again. It's possible that after he gets the package, the doorbell trick won't work. So, that leaves us to plan C. Because I gotta get Ed Jr. out of that room. Alright, Bernie, let's go ahead and just call the Meteor Police. And I'll go ahead and read the poster for you guys so you can see it. Now, one thing I believe I remember is instinctively I will just want to use the radio, but you got to turn on the radio first. Otherwise, it just says you can't use it without turning it on, which is a little silly. And those guys look like what Martians kind of look like in a sci-fi B movie, with the space helmet and everything. So we got 5 minutes to do everything I want to do, which involves getting Razor killed. Yes, I'm going to get Razor murdered, and you're about to see how I do it. And probably a good chunk of you will think that she deserves it. Now, if you go in that room on the left, that's Edna's room. She'll also put you in the dungeon, but what we want is for Ed Jr. to get out. In fact, I don't even know if that's his name. I know they're all called Ed, so I'm just going to call him Ed Jr. Here, take my CD player. No way. He doesn't want the CD player. Well, who would these days? They don't even sell CDs. Now, I only got a couple of minutes to get in there and get what I need. Come on, Razor, hurry up. All right. Let's do this thing. Okay, getting out of the dungeon is quite easy, especially with the keys. I'm going to go ahead and give the card key to Dave, especially since Razor is going to die. And you may be asking, why her? Well, she was just the other one I picked. Ah, another cutscene. They have quite a few of these. He hasn't slept in 5 years. Oh, goodness. And he carries those bodies to the basement at night. That's a cause of concern, I would say. Well, apparently this busy lady is not concerned about the bodies being carried to the basement at night. I said that key is needed for one of the other missions. So to get that, you'd have one of the kids get captured by Edna, and then while she's gone in the dungeon, you can go and capture that key and use it for one of the other missions. But I'm only going to do one. And yes, you see right there, I'm going to put the hamster in the microwave. Now only the rock stars will do this. So you got to put the hamster in. And yes, this was in an NES game. You're allowed to fry a hamster. But it gets better. You want to know how it gets better? I'm going to show you. Let's do this, Razor. Let's show them how it gets better. Let's go show our new friend Ed Jr. our little science experiment and see what he does. Ha 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 ha! Give exploded hamster to Ed. He says, no thanks. Wait, what is that? It has bits of fur like my hamsters. Oh no, what did you do? Arrgh! Now what is he going to do? He murdered Razor with a tombstone and everything. What does the tombstone say? And good riddance. All right. Well, we got one kid murdered, but now let's finish the game. And to do that, we got to open the door for the meteor police. And you really just kind of play the waiting game at that. You got to open that first door and open up this little dungeon door with the various keys. The old rusty key will get the dungeon door, the glowing key will get these two padlocks, and then there's also the secondary door, which has the combination 0000, which is, I guess, the kind of thing an idiot puts on his luggage. And you just leave it open. Now you can go in there, but the tentacle will just throw you back in and lock the door, and then you have to unlock it again. So now Bernie has done his thing. He's sort of done for the game. Now it's Dave's turn, but we're just going to wait for the little alien with his little space helmet to go into the secret lab, as it says right there on the wall. Ah, there he is. All right, let's go get him. Sounds kind of Texan for an alien. Don't bug me, sucker face. Stand aside. He's just barging in there. I wonder if he has a warrant. Yeah, I wonder what kind of like legal authority this guy has on Earth. Not that we'd be able to stop him, but I mean, legally, does he have any authority on this planet? He has authority probably on other planets and other moons, but on this one. All right, well, you see that little thing in the corner or in the middle bottom? That's a badge. You need that to get past the tentacle. Use the badge. Oh, okay. Well, you give the badge. I guess you don't use it. You give the badge to the tentacle so that he will just get out of your way. And it looks like I was mistaken on all the names. I thought they were all called Ed. It looks like you have Dr. Fred and then Ed. I kept calling him Ed Jr. because he's the kid, and I thought they were all called Ed. My bad. I guess it's been like 25 years since I've played this game at least. Alright, now you really can just ignore Dr. Fred. What you need to do is insert the card key in that little key slot, go in there, pull the lever, and then you go back in the other room. And you wait for this little cutscene. He does a thing, he wakes up from his little whatever, and then he turns off his machine before it blows up. Now, if you were to not insert the card key into that little slot and go in there and do that, there is a countdown. You have like 2 minutes or 90 seconds from when he hits the button that it will just blow up. Alright, so now it's over. I'm sorry my insane plan caused you so much trouble. Well, you should be sorry. How can I ever repay you for your help? Cash would be nice. Don't be a tuna head. It's a big phrase around here. You know, you could testify in open court about how your son murdered Razor. I believe it was murder in the second degree. It wasn't really murder in the first degree, but he did at least premeditate it. And then he buried her with a tombstone. Now, granted, she did kill the hamster, but I don't know if killing a hamster by itself is warrant for murder. Many of you may disagree. Okay, I totally get it. Killing a hamster for no reason is not cool. But the blue guy killed the rock star and buried her in the backyard. It wasn't very subtle about it. He actually put a tombstone there so you can find her. So it seems like an open and shut case to me. You could probably make a plea deal with him, 15 to 20 with possibility of parole. Although I don't think I want him out. Alright, so that was the end of the game. Now I'm going to do a quick thing where I show you guys how to blow up the house. Or at least one of 3 ways. The first way is to just turn off the circuit breakers right there in the room with the nuclear reactor. The other 2 ways involve either draining the pool and leaving it that way, or draining the pool and hitting that little red button. Alright, so now we have Dave and Michael are just going to have a front seat to the end of the world. And there it is. A giant mushroom cloud. That is awesome. The house and everyone within a 5-mile radius have been destroyed in a massive nuclear meltdown. Someone called 911 or 999 if you're in Britain. The game is over. You lose. I love it. So that is Maniac Mansion. There was a show made about there was a show that was on the Family Channel like a few years after this game came out. It was mostly based on the game, and it was kind of a weird little show. I vaguely remember it. It's like early 90s. A bad sitcom. Anyway, that is it for this episode of The Bearded Nerd Sits Down and Plays Through. See you guys next time.